Let me tell you something I've learned after decades of studying success, observing the wealthy, the healthy, the fulfilled, and the extraordinary. I've watched world champions in business, sports, the arts, leadership, and life. And there's one thing they all have in common. Now, I know you've probably heard 100 explanations. It's talent. It's luck. It's being in the right place at the right time. But if those were the real answers, then everyone born with talent would be a champion, and everyone who got a lucky break would be on top forever. And we know that's not the case. So what is the real secret? I call it the secret weapon. And here's the truth. It's not something you're born with. It's not something you stumble upon. It's something you develop. And once you have it, it changes everything. It's the thing that takes you from being good to being great, from being a player to being a champion, from being average to being exceptional. And here's the funny thing, it's hidden in plain sight. You can see it in their eyes, you can hear it in their words, you can watch it in their routines. And if you've ever been in the presence of a true champion, you've felt it. I remember many years ago sitting in a small conference room with a handful of entrepreneurs. We were discussing what separated the top 1% from the rest. One man, a self-made millionaire, leaned forward and said, "It's not what they do once in a while that makes them champions. It's what they never fail to do every single day." That sentence stuck with me for the rest of my career, because I realized right there, the secret weapon isn't one big dramatic act. It's the consistent, disciplined, almost invisible habits that stack up over time until they create a giant of a person. And here's where we're going today. I'm going to break this down for you piece by piece, layer by layer, so that by the time we're done, you won't just know the secret weapon of world champions, you'll be able to use it. I don't want this to just be an inspiring talk. I want it to be a turning point. Because the danger of motivation is this: you can leave here excited but unchanged. That's not my goal. My goal is that you leave here with a weapon in your hand that you can sharpen for the rest of your life. So let's start with the first truth about champions. Before we talk about the secret weapon, we need to define the battlefield. When I say champion, I'm not just talking about someone with a gold medal or a trophy. I'm talking about anyone who becomes exceptional in their chosen field, anyone who rises to the top of their game, whether that's in business, art, relationships, or personal growth. See, the marketplace, life itself, is like a great arena. Everyone's in there competing for influence, for opportunities, for excellence, for contribution. And here's what I've noticed. Champions don't play the same game as everyone else. Most people are just trying to get by. Champions are trying to get better. Most people work to survive. Champions work to dominate. Most people seek comfort. Champions seek growth. And it's not arrogance. It's commitment. Champions have a different standard. You've probably heard me say it before. Success is not to be pursued. It is to be attracted by the person you become. That's why the secret weapon has very little to do with talent and almost everything to do with character. Because the person you are determines the results you attract. Let me illustrate. Imagine two people. Person A has talent, opportunity, even money, but they lack discipline, they lack focus, they lack persistence. Person B starts with less, fewer resources, fewer connections, maybe even fewer skills, but they have this secret weapon. Fast forward 10 years, and you'll find person B on top, not because they started higher, but because they stayed in the game long enough to win it. Now here's a hard truth. The reason most people never discover the secret weapon is because they're looking for something flashy. They want a hack or a shortcut. They want the magic seminar or the lucky break. But the secret weapon of world champions is not glamorous. It's not sexy. It's not even easy, but it is transformative. And when we're done here, I want you to know it's available to you right now, no matter where you're starting from. If you're ready, let's step into the mindset that makes the weapon work. Number one, the mindset shift. Dear friends, the secret weapon of champions starts here, in the mind. Before a boxer steps into the ring, before an entrepreneur launches their company, before an Olympic sprinter takes their mark, There's something that has already happened inside them. It's not the training. It's not the diet. It's not even the strategy. It's the decision. A decision about who they are and what they will accept as normal in their life. See, most people live by default. They take whatever the day gives them. They respond to whatever circumstances hand them. And without realizing it, they've programmed themselves to be average, not because they want to be average, but because they never installed a different belief system. Champions, on the other hand, live by design. They've decided in advance. I'm not just going to participate. I'm going to excel. I'm not just going to survive. I'm going to win. I'm not just going to hope for success. I'm going to create it. Now, here's where the mindset shift gets interesting. Champions don't start with confidence. They start with commitment. Confidence comes after the work. Commitment comes first. I remember a young man who came up to me after a seminar and said, "Mr. Rohn, I'll be disciplined once I feel more motivated." I said, "Son, you've got it backwards. Motivation doesn't cause discipline. Discipline causes motivation." Why? Because the act of keeping your word to yourself builds belief. You don't wait to feel like a champion. You act like one until you become one. Here's something you need to write down. The law of preparation and expectation. You cannot prepare like a loser and expect to win like a champion. Champions prepare as if their entire future depends on it, because it does. They understand that victory doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the shadows when nobody's watching. The boxer's win isn't decided on fight night. It's decided in the lonely hours in the gym when he's drenched in sweat. The business leader's success isn't decided at the product launch. It's decided during those long nights of planning, studying, and refining the vision. The violinist's standing ovation isn't decided on stage. It's decided during endless practice sessions, sometimes with bleeding fingers. And expectation is just as important as preparation. Champions expect to win. That's not arrogance. It's awareness. They've done the work. They've paid the price. And they've rehearsed the victory so many times in their mind that by the time the moment comes, it feels natural. It's like a farmer who plants apple seeds and expects apples. He doesn't wake up wondering if bananas will appear. He knows the harvest he's going to get because of the seeds he's planted. You've heard me talk about the farm before. The farm is the perfect teacher of success because it obeys laws that cannot be broken. 1. You must plant in the right season. 2. You must nurture the crop. 3. You must protect it from weeds and pests. 4. You must wait for the harvest. Now imagine a farmer who skips step 1. He doesn't plant in the spring but shows up in the fall with an empty basket, saying, "Where's my harvest?" That's how most people live, expecting results without planting effort, expecting championship-level outcomes without championship-level commitment. But champions, they plant early, they plant deep, and they plant often. And they don't just plant, they prepare the soil. That's the mindset shift. Number 2, the discipline factor. Now here's a truth that separates dreamers from doers, contenders from champions. Discipline is the master key. The secret weapon of world champions is not just mindset. It's the relentless execution of the right actions, even when they don't feel like it. Champions understand something the average person resists. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. The pain of discipline is light compared to the pain of wishing you had done the work when it's too late. You see, most people are addicted to excitement. They want results that feel thrilling. They want workouts that are fun, business meetings that are glamorous, routines that keep them entertained. Champions? They've made peace with boredom. Yes, you heard me right. Champions are not constantly chasing excitement. They're chasing excellence. And excellence often comes wrapped in repetition. Think about it. The champion boxer throws the same punches thousands of times. The master pianist plays the same scales over and over. The great speaker practices the same speech line by line until it's embedded in their soul. To the outside world, that looks boring. But to a champion, it's necessary, because discipline turns repetition into mastery. Discipline isn't just about the big moments. It's about the small, consistent actions. Reading 10 pages a day. Over a year, that's 3,650 pages, the equivalent of dozens of books. Saving a small percentage of your income. Over time, that's wealth. Practicing gratitude each morning. Over time, that's joy and perspective. Doing one more rep when your body says stop. Over time, that's strength. See, the small things don't stay small, they compound. Champions know that what you do daily determines what you can do eventually. There's a phrase I've carried with me for years. Do it anyway. You're tired? Do it anyway. You're discouraged? Do it anyway. You don't see results yet? Do it anyway. Why? Because discipline isn't about how you feel, it's about who you've decided to be. I once told an audience, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Without that bridge, your dreams are just ideas floating in the air. With it, they become reality. Champions don't rely solely on willpower. They build systems that make discipline easier. They schedule their priorities. Not just prioritize their schedule. They remove temptations that pull them off track. They find mentors or peers who hold them accountable. See, discipline grows stronger when you make it a non-negotiable. It's not something you do when you feel like it, it's who you are. The discipline factor is the part of the secret weapon that wears people out, and that's why most never wield it. But for those who do, it becomes a lifelong advantage. Number 3, the power of consistency. Let me tell you, discipline starts the fire, but consistency keeps it burning. I've met plenty of people who can be disciplined for a day, a week, maybe even a month. But champions, they're disciplined for years. And that's why they win. Because here's the truth. You don't get rewarded for what you do occasionally. You get rewarded for what you do consistently. Consistency is the compound effect's best friend. Do something small every day, read a chapter, make one extra sales call, take one more lap, practice for 30 minutes, and over time, the results are unbelievable. Here's the part most people miss. The payoff from consistency is not linear, it's exponential. You put in effort for weeks, months, sometimes years, with little visible results, and then one day the dam breaks. The rewards pour in. It's like pumping an old water well. At first you pump and nothing comes out. But keep pumping, and eventually the water flows. And once it starts, it doesn't take as much effort to keep it going. Why do most people quit too soon? Most people quit just before the breakthrough. They work hard for a while. They get tired, they get discouraged, because they don't see immediate results, and they stop. Champions, they stay the course. They understand that the results you see today are the harvest of seeds you planted months or even years ago. And the seeds you plant today, you'll harvest them later. Now, let me give you some good news. Consistency does not mean perfection. Champions aren't perfect. They miss days, they make mistakes, they have off moments. But here's the difference. They don't let a bad day turn into a bad week. They get back on track quickly. A champion says, I slipped yesterday, but I'm back at it today. The average person says, I slipped yesterday, so I might as well give up. It's not what you do once in a while that changes your life. It's what you always come back to. Here's something I want you to remember. The work you do in consistency mode often feels invisible. You may not see it in the mirror. You may not feel it in your bank account. You may not hear applause from the crowd. But champions trust the process. They keep showing up. Because they know the day will come when the results will be visible, and when that day comes, the world will call it a miracle. But it wasn't a miracle. It was consistency. Consistency is the rhythm of a champion's life. Discipline sets the beat. Consistency keeps the song playing. Number 4, emotional mastery. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a truth that many never learn until it's too late. You can be the most skilled, the most disciplined, and the most consistent. But if you can't control your emotions under pressure, You can lose everything in a single moment. I've seen it happen. An athlete trains for years, then loses a championship because they couldn't keep their cool after a bad call. A business owner builds an empire, then destroys it with one impulsive decision made in anger or fear. A leader gains the trust of thousands, then throws it away because they reacted instead of responding. Champions know something most people don't. Mastering your emotions is just as important as mastering your craft, because when the stakes are high, your ability to stay steady becomes your greatest advantage. When everyone else is panicking, the champion is thinking clearly. When everyone else is frustrated, the champion is finding solutions. When everyone else is offended, the champion is focused on the mission. That calm in the storm is intimidating to opponents and inspiring to teammates. You don't know how much emotional mastery you have until the pressure comes. That's when the real you steps forward. Anyone can smile when everything's going their way. But champions smile, or at least stay composed, when everything seems to be falling apart. And it's not that they don't feel fear, or anger, or discouragement. They do. They just don't live there. Every champion has been knocked down. Every single one. The difference is that they don't let the fall define them. They let it refine them. They turn losses into lessons. They turn criticism into fuel. They turn adversity into training ground. I once told an audience, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. That's emotional mastery. It's saying, this challenge is here to make me stronger, not to break me. Here's a practical skill. Pause before you react. Champions give themselves space to think. They ask, is my reaction helping me win or making me lose? Will this matter in 5 minutes, 5 months, or 5 years? Am I acting from fear or from wisdom? That little pause can save careers, relationships, and opportunities. You've got to learn how to feed the right emotions. Emotions are like muscles. The ones you feed grow stronger. Feed gratitude, and you'll feel more blessed. Feed courage, and you'll act more boldly. Feed bitterness, and you'll see enemies everywhere. Champions choose their emotional diet as carefully as their physical one. Emotional mastery is the stabilizer of the secret weapon. Without it, discipline and consistency can be wasted in one moment of self-sabotage. Number 5, relationships and mentorship. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now that might sound simple, but it's one of the most powerful truths you'll ever hear. Because your relationships are either pulling you towards your potential or dragging you away from it. Champions know this. They guard their circle like their life depends on it, because it does. Every conversation you have is planting something in your mind. Every person you allow close is influencing your beliefs, your habits, and your standards. Hang around complainers long enough, and you'll find reasons to complain. Spend time with problem solvers, and you'll start thinking in solutions. Champions know they can't afford to spend their emotional currency on people who drain them. They invest their time where they can grow. You've got to choose your circle intentionally. The average person chooses friends by convenience. We work together, so we hang out, or we grew up in the same neighborhood. Champions choose friends by direction. Does this person inspire me? Do they challenge me? Do they make me want to raise my game? That doesn't mean cutting off every person who's struggling. Champions lift others, but they're careful about who has influence over them. One of the fastest ways to grow is to learn from someone who's already where you want to be. That's the power of mentorship. I had my own mentor, Mr. Schoaf, who told me, Jim, don't just read the easy books. Read the ones that make you stretch. He taught me lessons in minutes that would have taken me years to figure out on my own. Champions actively seek out mentors. They don't wait for wisdom to find them. They go after it. They attend seminars. They ask questions. They observe. They study the lives of people they admire. Giving back. Here's something else champions understand. Once you've been mentored, you have a responsibility to mentor others. Passing on wisdom doesn't just help the next person. It reinforces the lessons in your own life. It's like sharpening a knife. The more you use it, the more you maintain its edge. Now, let's talk about the hard part, removing toxic influence. Champions aren't afraid to distance themselves from people who constantly pull them down. That doesn't mean they hate those people. It means they love their purpose enough to protect it. It's like a gardener pulling weeds. If you leave them, they'll choke your flowers. Your relationships will either multiply or divide your success. And champions never leave that to chance. Number 6, execution and adaptability. Champions aren't just thinkers, they're doers. They don't sit around waiting for perfect conditions. They understand that perfect conditions rarely arrive. One of my favorite sayings is, don't let the start stop you, because that's where most people get stuck. They wait until they know everything, have everything, feel ready for everything, and in the meantime, the opportunity passes them by. Champions pull the trigger. They take action. And here's the secret, they don't wait until they feel confident. They act, and confidence follows. Execution means putting into motion what you've learned, what you've prepared for, what you've envisioned, even when you're not 100% certain it'll work. You'll never think your way into success without acting your way into it. Champions make decisions quickly. Napoleon Hill once said, successful people make decisions quickly and change them slowly, while unsuccessful people make decisions slowly and change them quickly. Champions decide, they commit, and then they work until they see results. It's not recklessness, it's decisiveness. They know that indecision is a decision in itself, and it's usually the wrong one. Now, here's the other side of the coin, adaptability. Champions are not rigid in method, they're rigid in mission, but flexible in how they get there. If plan A fails, they go to plan B, C, D, as many as it takes. They don't quit the race because the road has a detour. They are not afraid to fail, they're afraid not to learn. When something doesn't work, they don't waste weeks blaming, complaining, or feeling sorry for themselves. They analyze, they adjust, and they try again. That's why you'll often see them recover from setbacks faster than others. They've trained themselves to ask, what's the lesson? What's the next step? Champions live in a unique tension. They are urgent in their daily actions, but patient with the long-term outcome. They move quickly in the moment, making calls, taking steps, pushing forward, but they understand that big results take time to manifest. This balance keeps them from burning out or giving up. Execution and adaptability are what keep champions moving forward while everyone else is standing still. But there's one more part of this weapon that most people underestimate, and it might be the most powerful of all, the long game. Number 7, the long game. Let me give you a quote. Success is not a sprint. It's a marathon of good decisions stacked one on top of the other over time. Most people lose before they even start, not because they don't have talent, but because they don't have patience. They want the trophy without the training. They want the fruit without planting the seed. They want the reward without the work. But here's the truth. Anything worth having requires time. And time will either become your greatest ally or your deadliest enemy, depending on how you use it. In life, there are 2 games you can play. 1, the short game, chasing quick wins, instant gratification, shortcuts, and overnight success schemes. 2, the long game, building brick by brick, day by day, with a vision that outlives the moment. The short game gives you flash without foundation. The long game gives you lasting greatness. When you play the long game, you stop living like the deadline is tomorrow and start building like the deadline is legacy. You no longer ask, how fast can I get this? Instead, you ask, how strong can I build this? A farmer doesn't throw seeds in the ground today and expect a harvest tomorrow. He plants, waters, weeds, waits, and then waits some more. Your dream works the same way. You plant the seed of effort today. You water it with learning, relationships, and consistency. You protect it from weeds, distractions, doubt, and bad influences. You trust the process even when you don't see immediate results. The long game tests your resolve. There will be seasons when it looks like nothing is happening. That's when most people quit, right before the breakthrough. But remember, the roots grow before the fruit shows. Your preparation season is proof that your harvest will be worth it. Faith in the process is what separates amateurs from masters. In today's world, it's easy to confuse attention with achievement. The short game wants applause now. The long game wants impact forever. Ask yourself, will this choice matter in 10 years? Am I building something my children's children can benefit from? Am I living for the moment or for the mission? If you want to win in the long game, your decisions must outlive your emotions. Here's the Jim Rohn's long game laws. 1. Patience pays. The time will pass anyway. Let it pass in your favor. 2. Consistency is the currency. You don't have to be great every day, just consistent every day. 3. Preparation precedes promotion. The bigger the dream, the longer the preparation. 4. Play beyond you. Build something so big that others can carry it forward when you're gone. Say this to yourself: I will not be seduced by shortcuts. I will not quit in the quiet seasons. I am planting for a harvest I cannot yet see. My work will outlive me. My impact will be my legacy. I am in this for the long game. In conclusion, my friends, you now have the 7 secret weapons of world champions. What do you do with it? Life will never hand you the perfect conditions to act. The stars will never align just right, and waiting for the right time is the quickest path to regret. The truth is, you are ready enough right now. Every step you take, no matter how small, shapes your future. Action is the great equalizer. It separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the achievers. So don't sit back hoping for a miracle. Be the miracle. Be the one who refuses to settle, who steps out even when the fear is loud and the doubts are strong. You may not control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. You may not control the clock, but you can use your moment. This is your season. This is your calling. This is your chance. The question is, will you take it? This is Jim Rohn's Masterclass reminding you, it's not what you wish for that changes your life. It's what you work for. So stand up, take that step, and keep moving forward. Your future self is already cheering you on. Now don't just listen and walk away. Take what you've heard today and put it into motion. Decide right now to commit to the long game. Commit to mastering your seasons. Start planting those seeds of discipline, consistency, and emotional mastery today, no matter how small the step. Reach out for mentorship. Guard your circle. Sharpen your mind and your habits. Because greatness isn't given, it's earned. It's built day by day, choice by choice. So stand up. Take action. Be the champion of your own life story. The world is waiting for your best. And your future self will thank you for starting today.